On this recording in progress. Hare Krishna.
Okay.
Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Chapter 6, Text 41. Welcome everyone. Hare Krishna.
Prapya punya kritam lokan usvita sasvatai sama suchinam srimatam kehe yoga prasto pijayate. The unsuccessful yogi, after many years of enjoyment on the planets of the pious living entities, is born into a family of righteous people or into a family of rich aristocracy. Purport. The unsuccessful yogis are divided into two classes. One is fallen after a very little progress, and one is fallen after a long practice of yoga. The yogi who falls after a short period of practice goes to the higher planets where pious living entities are allowed to enter. After a prolonged life there, one is sent back again to this planet to take birth in the family of a righteous Brahmana, Vaishnava, or of aristocratic merchants. The real purpose of yoga practice is to achieve the highest perfection of Krishna consciousness, as explained in the last verse of this chapter. But those who do not persevere to such an extent and who fail because of material allurements are allowed by the grace of the Lord to make full utilization of their material propensities. And after that, they are given opportunities to live prosperous lives in righteous or aristocratic families. Those who are born in such families may take advantage of the facilities and try to elevate themselves to full Krishna consciousness. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So it's quite amazing really what's actually being described here. This is a short practice, and it doesn't give exactly what a short practice means, what stage of perfection one has not achieved, and then one desists from the practice of yoga. Still, Ramanuja's commentary really highlights what Prabhupada is explaining here. I just read it, and you can see. So, so due to being allured through particular material desires, one may desist from practicing yoga. So such desires will find its fulfillment and be exquisitely enhanced, manifold in the delightful spheres of those who perform virtuous deeds. So that's the heavenly planets, okay? There one enjoys to the utmost limit of their capacity, extending over a long duration of time. Then they take birth again in the material realm, described here in the rich aristocratic families. And later on, it does confirm what we said about aristocratic family. These are pious aristocratic families, okay? So what's being said here, basically, if one still has some material desires, as Prabhupada allured to as well, he made a statement that my disciples, stroke followers, most of them may be going to the heavenly planets. And this is what's being described here. So they go for, so we know if we read Bhagavatam, the lifespan in the heavenly planets is quite fantastic compared to our insignificant fly-like existence here. Let me just do some muting. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So again, I read that. So one enjoys to the utmost limit. So not spiritually, but materially, over a long duration of time. But what happens after that long duration of time of enjoying to the utmost limit? They become exhausted of that desire. And at some point, they come back down to the earthly realms. Well, to the, earthly realms. They fall from the heavenly planets to the earthly realms. So it may sound somewhat attractive to someone who's actually harboring material desires. Oh, that's great. I can go to the heavenly planets for an extended period of time and enjoy to the utmost limit of my capacity. Yeah. But don't forget that the soul is ultimately spiritual. And even in so-called unlimited, even in heavenly planets, it's not going to give you the happiness which you are really seeking, which is communion with Krishna. It's just material. The heavenly planets is just material. So one goes there, but ultimately one will become exhausted and achieve, one will become exhausted and then come back down. But they will come back down and take birth into prosperous, righteous, aristocratic families. Yeah. Any comments on this? So that's what it means after many years of enjoyment. And I'm just going ahead a bit, but also it's also described that even if one,
yes, Kuru, I have a question.
Yeah.
Some of these unsuccessful yogis.
Go on. Sorry.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can now.
So the unsuccessful yogis, like we've taken to bhakti in this life, which means that we may have been unsuccessful yogis in a previous life, but some of us, like me, I wasn't born in an aristocratic family or a family like it says, righteous people. And so how did that happen? Or was it that I wasn't very advanced in yoga in a previous life, or?
That's a good question. Perhaps others can also offer an answer to this. It is described actually that the devotees of the Lord, in regards to devotees taking birth not in the, basically described the devotees of the Lord will take birth, they take birth in all types of places and in all types of situations by the arrangement of the Lord, to actually inspire many types of persons in many types of situations to take up bhakti. So that's one thing I've heard. Yeah.
Actually, I that reminds me of a lecture a class I was listening to by my Guru Maharaj. He was saying Bhakti Vinod Thakur. He was obviously a pure devotee. He realized his eternal form, and as a manjari.
Good point. Yeah.
But yet he actually, during his life, he had like the English education. He was interested in English writers, and he was involved in a very karmi life. And Guru Maharaj said that's only to show us that if he can be a pure devotee, come to that level after living that life, then we have great hope as well that we can also do it, he said.
Yeah, and even Bhaktivinoda Thakur, in his autobiography, in a letter he wrote to his son, Lalita Prasad, he describes how he used to eat. Let me get it right. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, he used to eat mutton, like he wasn't a vegetarian. He used to eat, I think, goat's meat. So he wasn't brought up in a pure Vaishnav setting. So good point. So great hope for him, of course, is great hope for us.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yes.
Is that okay?
Yes.
Can I say something?
Yes, please.
I was thinking about all the Maharajas in our movement.
Good point.
Also,
yes, good point.
All the Maharajas in your movement also, because they took birth in America or in London. That's because if they were to take birth in India, they wouldn't have met Srila Prabhupada. It's Lord arrangement.
Yeah, very good point. Thank you for reminding us of that. Yeah. So to suit the inconceivable plans of the Lord, in order for the Sankirtan movement. I think Prabhupada even one time he allured to his disciples as being sent by his spiritual master to assist him in spreading Krishna consciousness. So therefore, disciples like Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj and others took birth in seemingly impious places, in impious lands, but all the wonderful, inconceivable plan of the Lord, to assist Srila Prabhupada. So that, in answer to your question, Babalavanga, you kind of, so yes, generally that's the case, what we're seeing here. But the Lord, he's the supreme orchestrator, so he may, to suit the purposes, his own divine purposes, it may be arranged that devotees take place in places other than what is stated here. Because we have to admit, yes, we are seeing devotees take birth in all types of places and all types of backgrounds. Then they take the bhakti. That's one thing. Yeah. Also, bhakti is very powerful, so it can attract anyone from any place as well. Even someone might not be coming from a pious background at all, but the power of the association of pure devotee can imbue bhakti or mukhi sukriti within them just by coming into their association. So it's all quite mysterious. Yeah. I'm sure we can all reflect, especially those, some of us are Indian Vasis here coming from pious backgrounds, but some of us are not. So we can, but somehow now we became attracted to bhakti.
I must admit, I was really fortunate because in my family, parents coming from India, they never ate meat, eggs, and from the early life, it was into Krishna.
Yeah. So sattvic.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, and I come from a background that was the opposite than that, without going into details. I won't go into details, but my father was in prison a lot of the time. So I come from definitely not a pious background, but somehow or another, I became attracted
Like Prahlad Maharaj?
Like who?
Prahlad Maharaj?
Prahlad Maharaj, yeah, what to speak of Prahlad Maharaj? He took birth in a family that's obviously not a special arrangement, but still, the example is there. There, he took birth in a family of a big, big demon. Yeah? And Prahlad, in his humility, would often, he would explain that, how he was so fallen to take birth.
And Haridas Thakur.
Haridas Thakur, another one.
Yeah.
Born in non-Hindu, low birth, you could say. And it's probably many. So it seems there are other considerations of the Lord. Yeah. But generally here, I'm just pointing out, I'm kind of focusing on as well that if one still has material desires and they stop after a short time. So again, I'm not exactly sure what short time means, where it's a specific level of attainment, but they don't reach, then they go to the heavenly planets for a long, long time and enjoy to their utmost capacity. But as I said, because we're all part and parcel of Krishna, eventually they become tired of that and become exhausted. Then they take birth in a rich aristocratic family. Yeah. So it's quite amazing, actually. It's such a shame that there's many atheistic type people who have no faith in or no comprehension of these higher laws of nature by which souls are transmigrating from one body to another body, and also being it's quite a manifesting within the seeds of a particular male to inject into a particular female, and it's all going on from one life to the next. There's this whole movement of jivas are moving from one life to the next, some going down in animal species, and some practicing yoga for a short time and go to the higher planets, and then come back. Yeah. Yes.
I just thought, I don't know, it's kind of a question also.
Yeah.
is it now? Yes, this is explaining everything. But again, just because of the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy, even this we can't sometimes conceive what has happened. How it's just like how Jagai Madai got converted. I think we also can we can
another
think that
example.
we also Jagai and Madai, and that those are the qualities we do have, not unto that extreme, but still we also sometimes behave like that. So because that's all this mercy came because of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It's because now here Krishna speaks in Bhagavad Gita, so that is different to the Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu's mercy, it's much more than what it says here. Is that right, Prabhu?
Yeah, we were just discussing that today in another class. Yeah. So it's called, I think you're invoking here, causeless mercy.
Yes, Prabhu.
Causeless mercy and causeless compassion. Namo Mahavandhanaya Krishna Prema Patayate. That's why Lord Chaitanya is known as the most merciful incarnation of Krishna. Yeah. Thank you for pointing that out, Jagai Madai. Yeah, Prabhupada.
Pastime, isn't it? Jagai and Madai is pastime of Krishna.
Yeah, there's there's I know with all these there's backstories, but still it illustrates a point. Anyone, if Jagai and Madai, let's just take from their specific life by which they was saved, they were debauchees of the worst kind, but they were given mercy by Lord Nityananda, and they attained, even amongst devotees, they obtained a level of great Mahabhagavats. Yeah, by Lord Nityananda, Lord Chaitanya stroke Lord Nityananda's causeless mercy. So that's what we're supposed to be inspired. But yeah, you can look back, oh yeah, but in previous lives, this, that. But the lesson is now everyone's Jagai Madai, at least in the West, are trying their best to be. But still, one can obtain perfection by the causeless mercy of the Lord and the Lord's devotees.
Okay, and I wanted to ask about, so then when we take up this spiritual path, have we got like a quota what we can do, even if you want to do more Krishna conscious? But is it like you can't do as much as you want to do in a day?
Oh, I think, well, you can do as much as you want. It is unlimited scope. I mean, how much devotion can you put into a particular spiritual activity? It's unlimited. How much can you be absorbed? It's unlimited. So we have, as much as you want to be Krishna conscious, you can be. Of course, as far as the external of doing things and getting things done, we've only got we've only got a particular body to work with, and it has its limitations. But I'm just saying, as far as that's the external doing things and getting things done. But how deep can you be absorbed in chanting the Maha Mantra? You can go deeper than the Atlantic Ocean. It's really up to you. It's really up to, and that will depend on the purity of heart. So it's unlimited. It's unlimited of how deep you can go in our devotional activities from the point of view of the meditation and the Krishna consciousness. There is no limitations. Yeah. Yeah. Anything else from here? These are very interesting verses, isn't it? And this is often quoted. You will hear devotees quote this. Shuchinam Srimatam Ge. Prabhupada will quote this just one line, often. Shuchinam Srimatam Ge. He takes birth in a family of Suchis. Those are Suchi. Yoga Parashta Paranta Pijayate. Yeah, such a birth is very rare. So this is after short practice. So can we just what's gonna so higher than the next verse describes after a long practice. So let me just finish, have a look then. Yeah. Now the next verse is going to be what happens to those who desist from yoga, bhakti yoga, after a long practice. What's their destination? So let's read that, shall we? Very exciting, huh? Let's see what long practice. Again, I would like to ask the question exactly what level of bhakti short is referring to, or what time, or what level of bhakti long is referring to. Perhaps it might explain it here. So someone can read text 42. Need to read that.
Can I read, Prabhuji?
Yes, please go ahead, Bob. Thank you.
Okay. Asthava yogi nameva gola bhavati timatama itaddi dulapataram loke janma yadi tisram. Translation purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Yeah.
Or if unsuccessful after long practice of yoga, he takes his birth in a family of transcendentalists who are surely great in wisdom. Certainly, such a birth is rare in this world. Birth in a family of yogis or a transcendentalist, those with great wisdom, is praised herein because the child born in such a family receives the spiritual impetus from the very beginning of his life. It is especially the case in the Acharya or Goswami families. Such families are very learned and devoted by tradition and training, and thus they become spiritual master. In India, there are many such Acharya families, but they have now degenerated due to insufficient education and training. By the grace of the Lord, there are still families that foster transcendentalists generation after generation. It is certainly very fortunate to take a birth in such a families. Fortunately, both our spiritual master, Om Vishnupada, Srimad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj, and our humble self had the opportunity to take birth in such a families by the grace of the Lord, and both of us were trained in the devotional service of the Lord from the very beginning of our lives. Later on, we met by the order of the transcendental system.
Okay, thank you. Later on, we met by the transcendental system. Yeah. So, all right. So this is considered to be a higher birth. In other words, not going to the heavenly planets. A higher birth is to take in a family of transcendentalists, in a family of devotees. It's described here that although taking birth in a virtuous and prosperous family, the family members may not be engaged in the practice of yoga or bhakti. Yeah. So still there may be it's maybe not so it's not so advantageous to actually taking a birth in a family of what's called here transcendentalists. Yeah. Yeah, but Prabhupada then he's just making us aware, having understood this, sometimes it's by degradation in Kali, persons just because they've taken birth in a certain family, they think they've been rubber stamped, and they are to be worshipped as, what's it, the word for guru of the whole world. What's it called? I forget the term. So, yeah, Prabhupada's just pointing out that, okay. So in India, there are many such Acharya families, but they have now become degenerated due to insufficient education and training. Right? But not all. There are some, and Prabhupada cites his own spiritual master, who was the son of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And Prabhupada would give great respect and prays to his father, who was a great devotee of Radharani and a great pure devotee of the Lord. And he prayed to every sadhu that came, please make my son a devotee of Radharani. Yeah. So Prabhupada, yes. Any comments or questions on this after a long period?
Yeah. I was just thinking, I mean, Prabhupada's sons, they were born into Prabhupada, like the word I think I just looked up the word for Guru of the world, Jagat Guru, is that the word?
It. Thank you, Jagat Guru. Thank you.
Yeah, I just looked it up. And they were born into such a family, but yet I don't think they were particularly interested in devotional service.
No, they wasn't. They're very interesting.
So
you could do a whole study on this, isn't it? It's very, very interesting. So what's going on there? Well, just I know one of his sons tried to take ISKCON to court, saying basically that his father was actually a good businessman and that ISKCON is a business, and that as the son, he should inherit all the profits that coming from ISKCON for Prabhupada's business, which is and there was a court case. And there was a court case. And the judge threw it out at some point. He said, everyone knows that bhakti, because it's considered in India, once someone takes the renounced order of life, then there's no binds of inheritance to the family apply. They're considered to be cut and civilly dead once they take the renounced order of life. So he said, everyone knows that Swami Prabhupada, was a sannyasi, and he threw the case out. But anyway, it just illustrates the mentality of his son. Another one of his sons, Hari Suri was explaining, he basically became like a homeless, crazy person, just living on the streets and eating food which the dogs and cows would eat. Became a mad, haunted person. I was surprised to hear that. So what can we learn from that? What's going on here? I mean, I have something in mind why that arrangement was made.
Can I say something, Prabhu?
Yes, please.
That was made because his spiritual master said, go to the West. If he has got everything in India, he wouldn't have thought of going to the West.
Yes, thank you. That's the point I was thinking. That helped for Prabhupada to become at one point, absolutely disgusted and detached.
And also total surrender. Of course, Srila Prabhupada has always had total surrender, but these all things also pushed him towards that surrender. Whatever happened is he understood this is Krishna's plan for me.
Yeah. So I was thinking of the same thing. That's obviously we have to understand that was the Lord's arrangement. So Prabhupada wouldn't get, you could say, too comfortable. Don't know if we say like that, but Prabhupada his family life wouldn't be, it would be in his failure and disappointment would lead to his following the orders of his spiritual master. So again, the divine arrangements of Krishna. Yeah. So we see, again, back to the previous verse, we see devotees will take birth in sometimes very difficult circumstances, which will then force them to go towards spiritual life. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Anything else on this? Just see if
Actually, we were in Calcutta. I don't know whether anybody remember, in February at Prabhupada's birthplace. And the devotee who was looking into all these Prabhupada's, his sons.
Okay.
Yeah, he went to his wife, Radharani, and she was in bed, like sick, in tears. And then he got her to sign some certain papers that the son was trying to take everything of Prabhupada, ISKCON.
Yeah, that's the case, yeah.
He signed some papers,
Yeah. Yeah, and that's there you go.
She was tearful. She probably realized her mistake as well in life as well.
Yeah. So that all led to Prabhupada's taking up the renounce order of life. Yeah. And there's a nice little description here as well. In a very next reincarnation, okay, such a practitioner of yoga is propelled by the impressions of the previous birth and is drawn by the habits cultivated in their previous existence. Yeah? So propelled by impressions from the previous birth. I think we mentioned that before. I think persons become automatically attracted to yogic principles. And yeah, that's the point I was going to make as well. It's described here as well that even if one doesn't take up the practice of yoga, but just shows an interest in it, even without taking it up, they take birth in the heavenly planets, even without actually taking it up in all earnestness, if I read correctly. Even just by being inquisitive into the principles of bhakti, then that person will take birth in the higher realms and then come back to take birth in an aristocratic family.
Even now, when we take birth again, don't we take impressions of the previous life?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
We do, don't we? What our desires are.
Yeah, because your subtle body goes, it's the subtle body.
Yeah.
Right, it's the examples given here. Like one, while performing a task, slumbers briefly, but when roused from sleep, and enthusiastically continues onwards to finishing it. That's like a person who's practiced a long time, just like someone who's, you fall asleep and you wake up. Oh, okay. So, of course, we gave the examples yesterday of Jad Bharat as well. Jad Bharat. So, yeah, then this our long practice. There may be, you didn't quite make it. So then, but then in your next life, you become very determined, just like Maharaj Bharat was, but in the body of a deer. He became. And then then he took birth as Bharat, didn't he? As Jad Bharat. And he became absolutely determined not to get entangled and he went to quite extremes. If you read about Jad Bharat, he kind of made out, it's quite a difficult thing to do if you're fully conscious, all your faculties are with you, but you make out to your parents that you're deaf and dumb. Pretty intense determination, isn't it?
Yeah.
And because of that, he was treated and ridiculed by his brothers, and he was abused. He was starved. He was fed, he was abused in various ways, but the whole thing was a show. He was a self-realized Paramahamsa, complete clarity of mind. But he was absolutely determined not to make the same mistake. So that's pretty intense determination. Yeah. So in such a way, the next birth, such a practitioner of yoga enthusiastically continues onward. So that's why at the end of this verse, I think it describes, therefore, whatever you do, you have to take up the principles of bhakti. You will not be the loser at the end of this chapter, which we're coming to. Just looking at Ramanuja's. Is this, have I got the right one here? No, it's 41. I'd read that. Read this one here. We're doing 40. What was the last verse? It says 42, isn't it? Sorry, let's get my notes mixed up. Yeah. Okay. A person who has dissipated the strong desires of the senses and for sensual pleasures by the knowledge of Vedic scriptures is endowed with qualities like detachment and renunciation. If by fate such a person is deviated from yoga, interesting, fate, somehow or other, such as due to loss of the spiritual master before one was fully matured, such person takes birth in the family of he makes this point, of enlightened Brahmins, not in a family of wealthy Brahmins or royal Vedic kings performing opulent ceremonies, because riches and opulence give the opportunity to cause again one to be distracted from yoga.
Yeah.
All right. So even if they're wealthy Brahmins, Vedic kings, there's a chance that one can be distracted. So advanced souls, Krishna will arrange it, such advanced souls won't take birth in a family of wealthy Brahmins. Yeah. Yeah, there's some, yeah. Also it may be because Krishna within the heart of the bhakta knows the bhakta, or knows us better than we know ourselves. So he knows if he puts us in a wealthy situation, then we may get distracted. So he's going to make us take birth in Malechades, yeah, in London or some place, which is devoid of piety. He doesn't want us to become at all distracted by material assets or wealth. I had one godbrother. Oh no, I had one. I do have one godbrother. I think you know him, Jayadev. Everyone knows Jayadev here. Most of you here. He does astrology, or he used to do astrology, but a spiritual master told him to stop it at some point. I think he still does it in extreme cases, but he was having a problem where devotees were doing astrology, and or past life regression and astrology.
Yeah, I was going to say he does that, doesn't he? Past
Yeah,
life.
yeah, he did past life. Yeah, he didn't do astrology. Excuse me, past life, and it's like a few devotees in their past life, they was like up there in the heavenly planets with all this, tremendous. You can imagine tremendous material opulence and unlimited aptitude for unlimited sense gratification. And now they're living in a bedsit somewhere in Radlett, having to sign on with hardly any money, having to sign on a dole, can't get a job. They're in a bedsit in Radlett, and that will make him depressed, Oh, last life I was in the heavenly planets, What happened? Now I'm in a bedsit, can't even buy a car, like that. So sometimes devotees will get bewildered, not knowing that that living in, say, stroke unquote, some level of need or want is good for them. It's going to keep them clutching hold of their japa beads, depending on Krishna. Yeah, material opulence is very intoxicating. Very, very intoxicating. Fame, very intoxicating. Yeah. All right. I'm just thinking of, there's one, I won't go into detail. There's one young man who's coming to our temple, and he's quite a famous actor. His name's Bobby something. And he's a star in EastEnders, and he's a star, and he recently won this award for being the best upcoming new actor. And he's been on, they had this show called Dancing Show on the television. It's quite a big thing.
Yeah, come dancing.
Yeah, it's called Come
Dancing.
Yeah, and he was on there, and you can see he's completely in a limelight. He's completely now he doesn't come to the temple so much because the surroundings he is in is very intoxicating. Although he's, anyway, I don't know what's going on with him exactly.
I thought they are more with cultivating him.
Yeah, well, yeah, he is. But I'm just giving it. I was just looking because I didn't quite. I mean, I didn't. I really. I had a little doubt if what he was saying was actually true. And then Ananta Kripa showed me. Then he sent me a link. Oh, it's definitely true. My God, he's right. So I was just thinking, he's such a sincere soul that actually, it may be difficult for him to really take up bhakti in a serious way because of what he's exposed to. I mean, I might be wrong. But I'm just highlighting that to take up bhakti, then being surrounded by opulence is often a distraction. Yeah, so that's why.
He's really handsome as well.
Yeah, he's really good-looking young man as well. So he's got hundreds of girls swarming over him. He's wealthy, and at the same time he's interested in bhakti. So watch this space. Let's pray for him, and hopefully he can. Hare Krishna. All right, let's read text.
Prabhu, I just missed it. Are you referring to Bobby?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Oh my God, that day, Radhashtami day, how he chanted in the temple room. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So loud.
Yeah. So let's pray for him. Let's give him mercy and pray for him. I mean, he's into bhakti. It's touched his heart.
Prasad a lot.
Yeah, everyone feeds him when he comes.
Yeah, when he comes, he's fed well.
Yeah. All right, let's go into text 643. Anything I need to mention here? No. Text 43. Okay, let's read that. Someone like to read text 43? Okay, I'm going to jump.
I can read.
Go ahead, Mavlavanga. Go ahead.
Yeah, 43. Dratan buddhi samyogam labate porvadehikam yatate chatatobuya samsido nandana. Okay. On taking such a birth, he revives the divine consciousness of his previous life, and he again tries to make further progress in order to achieve complete success, O son of Kuru. Purport. King Bharat, who took his third birth in the family of a good Brahmana, is an example of a good birth for the revival of previous transcendental consciousness. King Bharat was the emperor of the world, and since his time, this planet has been known among the demigods as Bharatvarsa. Formerly, it was known as Ilavarta-Varsa. The emperor, at an early age, retired for spiritual perfection, but failed to achieve success. In his next life, he took birth in the family of a good Brahmana and was known as Jad Bharat because he always remained secluded and did not talk to anyone. And later he was discovered as the greatest transcendentalist by King Rahugana. From his life, it is understood that transcendental endeavors or the practice of yoga never go in vain. By the grace of the Lord, the transcendentalist gets repeated opportunities for complete perfection in Krishna consciousness.
Yeah, thank you. So we've mentioned these. Yeah, we have mentioned Jabbar and Maharaj King Rahugana. And yes, something I was going to say, but any observations here? Definitely, Krishna's definitely giving Arjuna a very complete answer to his question, isn't it? Remember Arjuna's doubt or query? Someone who gives up material life but doesn't attain or doesn't perfect, doesn't fulfill or doesn't become perfect in their spiritual practice. Do they are they riven like a cloud with no place in any sphere? No. One who does good, my friend, is never overcome by evil. And then Krishna is now given detailed elaboration what happens to such a person. Yeah. So Bharat Maj is a famous example we've mentioned a few times. Yeah. Yeah. So he fell down from a very exalted platform. So the practice of yoga never goes in vain. Yeah. By the grace of the Lord, the transcendentalist gets repeated opportunities for complete perfection. So we're going to get repeated opportunities to perfect our Krishna consciousness. Even if we become distracted, Krishna's going to make sure we get opportunities again and again and again. Isn't that encouraging? Yes. Let me read a little bit here from Ramanuja. In the very next, I think we read that. Yeah, let's read it. In the same way, in the next birth, such a practitioner of yoga enthusiastically continues onwards in perfecting yoga where they left off in the previous life. Lord Krishna is declaring that the influence of yoga and the past life habits involving yoga are so potent that they impel such a person in the next life to gravitate towards yoga instinctively and intuitively, as if it were not in one's own power to resist. It's a nice description. As if it's not in one's own power to resist. Verily, the majesty and greatness of yoga is well known to be such. That's why, again, we have experiences always. I'm sure we've all had experience where we've met people who are so excited about Krishna consciousness. So excited, you know. I remember I don't think he's not here today. Madhu Mangal, we all know Madhu Mangal, who sometimes joins us. I can remember when he first came to the temple, my God, he was so excited. He couldn't hardly contain himself. He had this big smile, like going right up to here. His eyes are wide, and for him, it was like it was amazing. He was so obviously something from his previous life. He wasn't as if he was, shall I take up bhakti or not? Or I don't know. I'm still attached to this, attached to that. He was like wildly excited about taking up bhakti, Yeah, so that's an example of this, So this is the super soul. This is the kindness of Krishna from within the heart, who manifests one's previous inclination to engage in activities of bhakti. Yeah, Krishna's kindness. Yeah, yeah. Any comments or questions? Yeah. Again, another similar example. It is exactly like waking up in the morning after sleeping during the night. After such an awakening, a person recognizes the place where they left off last life and wholeheartedly and determinedly strives for perfection in yoga in their present life without reservation. Now, it's not as if they have past life. It's not as if they have the same as Maharaj of Maharaj Bharat, who in the body of a deer, he could remember his life. It's not as if devotees will have a memory of their past life, but they have an enthusiasm and a spontaneous attraction for spiritual life. Yeah. But it may be that circumstances may cover that for some time in a devotee's life. It may be covered. But then that propensity comes out at some point. Yeah. They become enthusiastic for spiritual life. Yeah, I guess I'm thinking of myself. I mean, I joined when I was 24, and I definitely was not ready to join Krishna consciousness before that. You know, the association and the lifestyle. Definitely, I had some inclinations I had some inclinations and some thoughts about, you know, spiritual yoga, but it got completely covered by my when I was a teenager. Yeah. But when that died down, I became attracted to reading and studying books, things like that. Okay. Hare Krishna. Any more questions or comments here? Otherwise, let's have a look at the next purple. Quite lengthy. What's the time? 53. Yeah, let's have a go at the next one. 44. Very interesting, isn't it? There's so much in Bhagavad Gita, isn't there? So much to learn. So much to be inspired by. So I'll have a read of text 44. Yeah, okay, let's go. Purvabhyashena teneva hrityate hyavisopisha jiknashu apiyogasya shapte pramativatate. Okay, by virtue of divine consciousness of his previous life, he automatically becomes attracted to the yogic principles even without seeking them. All right, even without seeking them, one becomes attracted. Such an inquisitive transcendentalist stands always above the ritualistic principles of the scriptures. Right, let's see what Prabhupada says. Advanced yogis are not very much attracted to the rituals of the scriptures, but they automatically become attracted to the yogic principles, which can elevate them to complete Krishna consciousness, the highest yoga perfection. In the Srimad Bhagavatam 3:33-7, such disregard of Vedic rituals by the advanced transcendentalists is explained as follows. Yeah, sorry, I just got distracted. As I was reading that, I was thinking a wonderful example of someone who is obviously practicing a high level of yoga in a previous life, but born in America is Radhanath Swami. You read his book, I'm sure many of us, called The Journey Home. I find it quite fascinating how when he was a young boy, he didn't like to sit at tables to eat his dinner. He would like to sit on the floor. And his parents couldn't understand why. You know? I think it was, did I get it right? He wouldn't like to sit. And even they would go to restaurants and he didn't like to sit at the table. So his parents would say, oh, he doesn't believe in tables. And he would never, he was, and there's other things there where he would never, he would always feel sorry for those who had less, etc. Anyway, he gave other examples there where it's obviously he was practicing yoga in his previous life. Sorry, that just came to mind. Okay. I'll just read the translation. Oh, my Lord, persons who chant the holy names of your Lordship are far, far advanced in spiritual life, even if born in a family of dog-eaters. Such chanters have undoubtedly performed all kinds of austerities, sacrifices, bathed in all sacred places, and finished all scriptural studies. Okay, so this is further proof of our conversation earlier. Even if one takes birth in a family of dog-eaters, if the person takes to Krishna consciousness, they're considered to have done everything required. The famous example of this was presented by Lord Chaitanya, who accepted, we mentioned here as well, Thakur Haridas as one of his most important disciples. Although Thakur Haridas happened to take birth in a Muslim family, Muslims eat cows, isn't it? Do they eat cows? Yeah, they do. So perhaps Haridas Thakur, although I think he was, anyone know his early life? I think he was a bit like Radhanath Maharaj. He wasn't attracted to that way of life, even as a young man. I'm not sure. So he was elevated to the post of Namacharya by Lord Chaitanya due to his rigidly attended principle of chanting 300,000 holy names of the Lord daily. That's 192 rounds if you want to try that at home, okay? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. I know some devotees, I know there's some devotees in Chowpatty and other devotees in Hungary as well. I've not done it myself. One day I might try it. That every year on the disappearance of Haridas Thakur, they chant 192 rounds. It means you wake up at 12 o'clock at night and you just chant all day, 24 hours. There are some devotees that do that. Not every day, obviously. But I know my Guru Maharaj often encourages disciples to actually do it. I haven't done it yet, but I will try it one day. So 192 rounds. Yeah. And because he chanted the holy name of the Lord constantly, it is understood that in his previous life, he must have passed through all the ritualistic methods of the Vedas, known as Shabda Brahma. Unless, therefore, one is purified, one cannot take to the principles of Krishna consciousness or become engaged in chanting the holy names of the Lord. Hare Krishna. I think I mentioned previously that some of Prabhupada's disciples doubted their involvement in such pious activities in a previous life. And they brought that question to Prabhupada. Prabhupada said that I have created your piety. Yeah. So by the power of association with a great soul, especially such as Srila Prabhupada, one can acquire great piety. Powerful. Yeah. All right. Let's pause there. Huh? Time is 6:59. So very interesting, isn't it? Let's see what the next verse is for next week. Okay, we have 3 verses left in this chapter, or 4 verses left. Okay. So please join us next week for a continued adventure into the Bhagavad Gita as it is by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Okay, Hare Krishna, Gaura Premanande, Hare Bo.
Hare Bol.
Vaishnavyo Namo Namaha. Everyone, Guru Ki Jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.